Today, I want to challenge some of your assumptions about your child's laziness, because what looks like laziness is almost always something else. Just yesterday, I spoke with a mom who has 3 teenage girls who had just come back from college and boarding school. And they were just laying around, they weren't helping out at all. She decided to give them a week to decompress, but then she really wanted them to step it up and help out. And she said to them, "You're just going to have to help out more." But nothing happened. They weren't pitching in, they weren't taking initiative, and on top of that, they kept showing up with surprise requests for, "I need to leave right now," or "I need a ride." Naturally, she felt frustrated and honestly a bit resentful. It looked like they didn't care. They expected her to take care of everything. But here's what we unpacked together. First, what she said was, "You're going to need to help out more," and that phrase is too vague. Even capable teens may not have the executive function to look around, identify a task, plan how to do it, and follow through. It's not defiance, it's a skill gap. The solution to that? Be specific. Start small. Give each daughter one clear chore for a week. Watch for signs that they may need some support with follow-through, and then build slowly. The second week, give them an additional chore. And those last-minute ride requests, those happened because they were meeting every Sunday night to plan out the week. But it obviously wasn't enough. Things came up and the girls didn't remember to put it on the schedule. So what we talked about was adding a nightly 5-minute check-in to go over the schedule for the next day. Over time, they can move to every other night as they build up independence. But right now, they need that scaffolding to practice planning. That shift from "they should know better" to "maybe they need support right now," it completely changes the energy. It creates less resentment on the part of the mom, more connection with the children, and usually creates more follow-through. We'll have to find out with that mom to see how that works, because this was just a conversation yesterday. But from experience, I know that it does change what kids are able to do. Because here's the bigger truth. When we stop interpreting our child's behavior as laziness or defiance, and we start seeing it as a mismatch between the task and their brain in that moment, we unlock real solutions. We stop wasting energy on moral judgments, both of ourselves and of our children, and start putting that energy into what actually helps. Are you entitled to feel frustrated, angry, even furious? Yes, absolutely. This is hard, but is that anger helping you change the situation that's making you angry? Absolutely not. You just get to decide where you want to put your energy. And here's what else changes. You get less frustrated. You stop taking the behavior personally. You stay regulated more often. And when you are regulated, you problem solve better. Your child responds better, and the whole cycle starts to shift. Sometimes the frustration comes from our belief that they should be able to. And it makes sense when we assume kids are capable when they've done something in the past. He put on his shoes yesterday. Why is he refusing today? She stayed dried last week. Why the accident now? He can do it, so he must just not want to. But that assumption leaves out everything we don't see. Executive function struggles, sensory overload, transitions that are harder than they look, and timing that doesn't work for their brain. We assume it's about character, that they just don't care, that they're taking advantage. But what if it's not about character at all? Let me ask you this. Have you ever come home from a long, stressful day and said, "We're getting pizza. I just can't possibly cook tonight," even though you cooked dinner just fine yesterday? It's not that you forgot how to cook or stopped caring about feeding your family. It's that your capacity in the moment wasn't the same. Kids are no different. And I want to give you a second example that might persuade you of this logic. Think about how you feel when a teacher or relative judges your parenting. "You should be more consistent. You need to set firmer limits." It makes your blood boil because you know how hard you're trying. That's exactly how your child feels when we assume they aren't trying hard enough. A common frustration I hear from parents of slightly older children is, "Why does my child leave dirty dishes all over the house?" They find cups on bookshelves, plates under the couch, a spoon in the bathroom, and it feels intentional, like your child just doesn't care if someone else has to clean up after them. But what if it's not about laziness? Again, what if it's about executive function? Some kids don't register a mess as a problem until someone else points it out. And if I'm being perfectly honest here, I have to confess, I have that problem a little bit myself. Other children fully intend to clean up, but get distracted on the way to the sink. And some genuinely forget where they left things, not because they're careless, but because their brain has already moved on. And when we respond with, "Why are you being lazy? You know better than this. I've told you 1,000 times." We add pressure that makes it harder for them to follow through. We create shame instead of clarity. And sometimes when we criticize or push harder, our children push back with attitude. They say things like, I don't care, or whatever, and it stings. But here's the truth. It's a better cover. It protects their pride. When they say, I don't care, it makes them look like a cool teen, not like a kid who has no idea why they keep forgetting to put the dishes away. The problem isn't apathy, it's vulnerability masked as defiance. Instead, what actually helps? One example is a visual reminder, maybe some small signs in key places that say, put dishes in the sink, or a specific cue, before you leave the room, check for dishes. A low-pressure redirect might be, hey, grab that plate before you sit down. Support replaces scolding, and over time, habits start to form without the power struggle. Leaving dishes is frustrating, but what about something that feels more personal, like toileting accidents? Parents tell me, he knows when he needs to go, he just refuses. Or, she's 6 years old, this shouldn't be happening anymore. But here's what I want you to know. Many autistic kids don't feel internal signals the same way that others do. Some get the signal too late, and others, they do get so absorbed in what they're doing, they genuinely don't register the need. It's not willful ignoring, it's neurological wiring. If you add into that sensory aversion to bathrooms, a dozen steps involved in toileting, the embarrassment of accidents, what you've got isn't laziness, it's a child who's overwhelmed. So what helps with that? Things like scheduled bathroom breaks, help with interoception, like recognizing the body signals, and encouragement, not shame. And your belief that if they could avoid the accident, they would. When kids don't respond, we tend to get louder, sharper, more intense. We think, they're ignoring me, I have to get firmer. But imagine you're deep in thought and somebody suddenly barks, why haven't you done that yet? Do you respond better or worse? Autistic kids often need more time to process and less pressure in the moment. So when we rush or scold, we often make it harder for them to succeed. This is where we flip the narrative. If your child isn't meeting an expectation, it doesn't mean they don't care. It means something's in the way. Maybe it's too many steps, maybe the timing is wrong, maybe they need support to build up to it. It's like shoe tying. We don't demand perfection, we offer Velcro, and then we practice. And you can apply that mindset everywhere. You can try this, for example, for the next 3 days. Notice when your child falls short of an expectation, and instead of asking, why aren't they trying? Ask, could this be a processing delay? Is the task too big? Is there something else getting in the way? And you can try a small adjustment. Give them more time. Break the task down. Offer a cue instead of a command. You'll start to see that most of the time, it's not about the effort. It's about capacity. And the best part, this shift helps you too. You spend less time yelling, less time stuck in the why won't they just cycle, and more time finding actual solutions. And your child, they get a parent who sees what's really going on and meets them with support instead of shame. If this helped you see things differently, I would appreciate if you would hit like and consider subscribing. And let me know in the comments, have you ever realized your child wasn't being lazy? They were actually struggling? Let's keep learning together because your child doesn't need to try harder. They need the right support to do better.